I love ramen! They made it from Japan! Sometimes Pringles comes out with these crisps that are either a hit or a miss. This one is a hit! We are trying one of my ultimate favorite Japanese dishes, and they are going to be ramen flavored Pringles. I have an aged miso ramen and also a soy sauce ramen flavor as well. Big shout out to NapaJapan for having these flavors on their website, so definitely check them out. So ramen is actually a Japanese noodle soup, but often flavored with soy sauce or miso, which are the two chip flavors we're trying today, and uses toppings such as sliced pork, nori, which is dried seaweed, menma, which is like a bamboo shoot, and scallions. So ramen is a Japanese adaptation of Chinese wheat noodles. One plausible theory is that ramen was introduced by Chinese immigrants in the late 19th or early 20th century at Yokohama, Chinatown. Early versions were wheat noodles and broth topped with Chinese-style roast pork. Beginning in the 1980s, this is when ramen actually became a Japanese cultural icon and was studied around the world from many perspectives, and local varieties of ramen were hitting the national market and could even be ordered by the regional names. Today, ramen is considered Japan's most popular food and is definitely an iconic dish. There are at least 22 different types of styles, and Tokyo alone contains around 5,000 ramen shops and more than 24,000 ramen shops in Japan. I think it'll just take a lifetime and then some to finish every type of ramen shop. You have to go when you're in Japan, the kind of like mom and pop style, tiny little places, and enjoy a hot bowl of ramen. The basics of the dish consists of the broth, the saltiness, the noodles, and the toppings. However, each place has its own take on what broth to use, how much salt, the type of noodles, and their toppings, creating ramen specialties in different regions. We have two flavors of Pringles to try out, and we're gonna try out the soy sauce ramen one first. I always love the Pringles packaging. It has a bowl of ramen with a little bit of pork, scallions, buttercorn. All right, so soy sauce ramen. Soy sauce ramen is the most common kind of ramen. The broth has the fragrance of soy sauce and a deep, rich flavor that's delicious and popular with most diners. Based on a chicken and vegetable or sometimes fish or beef stock with plenty of soy sauce added, resulting in a soup that is tangy, salty, and savory, yet still fairly light on the palate. It is often adorned with marinated bamboo shoots or menma, green onions, carrots, fish cakes, seaweed, boiled eggs, bean sprouts, or black pepper. And some shops serve sliced beef instead of the usual chāshū. Ooh. And when I look at this chip, there is actually a lot of dusting on one side of the chip. It's a little bit of a brown seasoning, and it's your classic saddle-shaped chip. Let's give it a smell. Ooh, very strong soy sauce smell for sure. That's all I can smell actually, it's just soy sauce. All right, so let's try it out and see how it tastes. Oh, this little petite, little tiny one, so cute. You know, sometimes Pringles comes out with these crisps that are either a hit or a miss. This one is a hit. It definitely has a nice salty flavor to it. And it's not just straight soy sauce, but it has a little bit of those elements of like a salty broth from a ramen. I don't really taste like the chicken flavor, but it definitely has a little bit of like a meat flavor mixed with soy sauce, and I think it's really, really great. I almost feel like I'm drinking the ramen broth from the soy sauce ramen. The crisp itself reminds me a little bit of like ramen noodles. It has a nice, noodly type of base along with the soy sauce ramen flavoring. This one is a good ramen one. Definitely reminds me of soy sauce ramen. I would give these Pringles a Nosh Finer rating of 4 out of 5. All right, let's try out the miso one and see how it tastes. I love the contrasting colors between the yellow and the red. Below the ground pork, some corn, and then the ramen, so they almost look pretty much the same. So miso is a traditional Japanese seasoning and culinary staple produced by fermenting soybeans with salt and koji, which is a fungus, and sometimes rice, barley, seaweed, and other ingredients. The result is a thick paste used for sauces and spreads, including mixing with dashi soup stock to serve as a miso soup. The salty funkiness adds a complex, rich flavor to dishes. This uniquely Japanese ramen, which was developed in Sapporo, Hokkaido, features a broth that combines copious amounts of miso as a base for the broth and is blended with oily chicken or fish broth, and sometimes with tonkatsu or lard to create a thick, nutty, slightly sweet, and very hearty soup. I absolutely love enjoying a bowl of miso ramen when I was in Hokkaido, Japan, especially during the winter time. It's cold and snowy outside, and you walk into a ramen shop and you have a hearty bowl. It's so, so delicious. I absolutely love miso ramen. Ooh, again, all of them are intact, which is awesome. I absolutely love it. They made it from Japan. Similar to the soy sauce one, cute little petite potato crisp. And it has the seasoning flavors, not as dark of a color. You can see a little bit of the seasoning crystals. And when I smell it, oh, so weird. I smell lettuce and I can't pinpoint. I think maybe a little bit like a miso paste, but weirdly enough, like lettuce out of all the flavors I smell. All right, let's try it out and see how it tastes. So these crisps actually have a bit of a fermented type of taste to it, which resembles a little bit of miso with a bit of that fermented saltiness for sure. But I can't really pinpoint exactly like what type of flavor it is. It still has a little bit of a lettuce type of taste and a bit of the miso, and I don't really get ramen out of everything else. So with that, I would give these crisps a Nosh Finder rating of 3 out of 5. Thank you for joining me for Nosh Finder for another special Japanese unique flavors with these ramen flavored Pringles. If you want to check me out on the daily, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Nosh Finder. I will see you next time when I review more unique snacks.